Back in the PlayStation era, developer Insomniac was responsible for the successful Spyro platformers. But instead of riding the pink dragon into the next generation, it enlisted the services of the buddy cop team of Ratchet and Clank. At first, the furry alien with the robot backpack seemed unlikely to carry the mantle, but blow up everything gameplay, incredible production values, and some witty writing went a long way.
If you are being attacked by radioactive amoeboids, please press 1.
Now, one of the stalwart franchises in the industry is ready to take on the SPU's and Cell processor. But can this old Lombax learn new tricks? In the fifth installment of the series, or the fourth depending on whether you count the trigger-happy deadlock, Ratchet and his robot sidekick Clank receive a distress call from their old pal Captain Quark.
I've got a bit of a situation here at the Planetary Defense Center.
Seems he's under siege by a battalion of robot commandos under the thumb of Tachyon. This little guy with a big mouth is bent on world domination and wiping Ratchet's species from the universe. Running underneath this main arc is Clank's awakening. Apparently there's much more to this little bot than meets the eye, and this is explored throughout the game. The writing in this is not the series' best, falling back on jokes covered in cobwebs at times.
This guy must be more irritated than a one-legged droid in a butt-kicking contest.
But the story, however, is probably the best. There's a surprising amount of heartstring tugs, and there are never large chunks of game where it disappears.
I hope you never have to endure the pressure of saving an entire galaxy. Wish me luck.
Ratchet and Clank has always been a fairly linear affair, eluding the get a key here and take it there grind. The same holds true with Tools of Destruction. You'll find a few places where you won't have the proper instrument to open a new path, but the game does a clever job of bringing you back naturally through the story progression. This is definitely one of those games that you can put down for a week, come back, and get right into it. With a name like Tools of Destruction, you'd better bring the lumber, and it undoubtedly does. The arsenal is significantly upped with some arms that are truly satisfying. Each one can be leveled up using a hex system and the items that burst from enemies upon their termination. They also increase their wallop the more you use them, rewarding those who find a favorite and stick with it. After so many games in the series, you'd think that the weapon, device, and gadget ideas would be running dry, but that's definitely not the case. Mr. Zircon has got to be our favorite. This little trash-talking combat droid will buzz around Ratchet and Clank, protecting him at all costs.
I shall let you live, little alien. Psych! Mr. Zircon lives only to kill.
It's hard not to fall in love with the little guy. Other disposable soldiers include the plasma beasts, green creatures you can plant in the ground to surprise the enemy. And then there's the tornado launcher that does exactly what you'd think, and the Groovatron, the much publicized disco ball that leaves your enemies helplessly dancing. Discovering the new doohickeys is half the fun of the series, so we'll keep from spoiling too much, but you won't be disappointed. If the word platformer gives you nightmares of collecting every last note, coin, feather, and banana, you can rest easy. The collecting here is minimal, with most exchanges taking place at terminals poured all over the environments where you can upgrade your tech and armor. Bolts are about the only thing you'll be snatching up, and it's rewarding to do so when they're the fruits of the combat. Insomniac sticks to the tried and true here, resulting in an accessible, well-paced game that offers a solid dozen hours of play. Once it's completed, you can keep all your weapons and bolts and play through it again at a higher difficulty. But it would have been nice to have online cooperative play or some other feature generally endemic to the top-line games these days. The premise here is simple. Jump when you have to, and lay on the trigger button. For whatever reason, destroying enemies and watching showers of bolts come bounding forth is far more rewarding than watching gray matter splatter against a wall. The big part of that is the weapons, of course, and while some of them will yank a smile from the most stoic of players, others aren't nearly as fun to use as they sound. Controlling twisters from the tornado launcher is handled by the 6-axis, by tilting it in any direction. Targeting the thing while avoiding enemy fire at the same time requires mental agility and manual dexterity that only the likes of Neil Peart possess. The good news is that for every contraption that fizzles, there are 5 that flourish. There's a successful strategy to using just about every ordnance in the game, and with them upgrading through use, you'll be able to build that relationship between Lombax and Cold Steel. The actual platforming is extremely tame, allowing plenty of room for error and really just serving as a means to an end. And that end is blowing stuff up. The incredible armory does come at a price. The game is simply too easy. Death through combat is rare, as the surplus of bolts you're given to upgrade and buy new weapons is a bit unbalanced. Tack on several armor sets, a save anywhere option, and generous opportunities at health replenishment, and you're looking at a game that's great for the little ones, but won't put up much of a fight with vets. So while little reward comes from player skill, the positive reinforcement you get from all the bolts and doodads are more than enough to carry you through. Back before the N64 launched, a writer from Time magazine compared Super Mario 64 to being inside a Toy Story movie. That statement seems absurd now, but he was only about 10 years off. Games have finally reached that point with Tools of Destruction. Say what you want about flatly shaded characters being easier to render, but this game looks absolutely fantastic. The size and scale of these environments are incredible, with so much little detail going on in the background and no loading time once you've entered a level. It's definitely the best looking PS3 game on the market. The voice acting isn't bad either, particularly #1 bad guy Tachyon, whose lines are absolutely nailed.
Greetings, inferior beings of Polaris. Does your life lack a sense of purpose? Do you constantly worry about finding steady income? Do you like killing stuff?
The interactive orchestral score adds tension in all the right places, and overall, this is one well-presented piece of software. Pessimists will say that Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction is basically the same game that Insomniac has been creating for half a decade, and they'll be right. The optimist will say that it's the best in a series of incredible games, and they'll also be right.